might just be me. Okay, well, in any case, let me share this out with a couple folks. Apologies. Is my stream turning out all right? Can you see me loud and clear?
I see you loud and clear and with a beautiful glow. So you're doing
I'm
something
doing what
right.
I can. Okay, for some reason the post is I can't retweet it because it's not showing up on my on the Myosin page. So hold on. Wait, let's try this again if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, actually, hold on. I see it here. All right. Well, we're live, so it's all good. As usual, folks, if you've ever tuned in, Nadia, I just sent you the LinkedIn link on our group chat,
Yeah. Oh,
and I'm gonna just start sharing this out with some friends and groups, and then we'll get started in a few. Boom, boom, boom. All right. Where are you today, Nadia?
I am in the Swiss Alps.
Ah, nice. Are you
Delightful.
skiing or are you just there for
You know
like
what? I positioned myself here for the season. I think it's you can't do much here apart from working and skiing, so it's perfect.
I
And
love it.
there's a little bit of a community, right? So
Yeah,
some exited founders mainly, some London crowd, some Geneva crowd. So it's also even good for meetings.
I like it. I like it. So it's good for work and for pleasure.
Exactly, exactly. And it's not as wet as Lisbon. So
Yes, it is disgusting right now. So you are lucky. I'm jealous. Okay, give me a second here. Just drop in a couple
mm.
chats. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. And for anyone tuning in, unfortunately, my co-host Paulina is a little sick today, so she can't join. But that's all good because we're gonna have a good old time. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. One last one. I'll just drop it in here. Boom, boom. All right. Let's get into it and let's have a fun chat. Hello, everyone. This is Chain Reactions. This is our weekly live stream and podcast hosted by yours truly and the Myosin.xyz squad, where we talk to marketing leaders, founders, and just all around awesome people from around the on chain economy. Today we have Nadia on, who actually was a member at one point, but has gone on to do a lot of really cool stuff as well with Lagoon. So really excited to get into it. But how are you doing today, Nadia? We were just talking about Switzerland a little bit, but yeah, having a good time.
Enjoying the life. Couldn't be better.
Apologies, I just had to hydrate for a second. Um, but I love it. I love it. Well, listen, Nadia, we love to always start with a conversation around the person. So we'd love to kind of have you walk us through, um, your journey, right? Like, how did you get here to where you are today? What did the journey look like? How'd you get into crypto, and then how'd that lead you to what you're doing today?
Ah, absolutely. Oh, let me go back and remember what happened, where it all began. So I grew up in Denmark, right? So I grew up in Denmark. I studied in Denmark. I studied law just because I didn't know what else to study, and it was like a sensible, traditional, solid career. So studied law for many years, both in Denmark, in Copenhagen, and in the UK. And then, as a good legal student, I started working for a law firm, PwC Legal in London. It was all happy days. It was 2015 at that point in time. Gosh, time flies. And I actually got introduced one of the seminars that I had in one of the law firms in London was about programmable agreements, smart contracts, where you can put conditions. When certain conditions are fulfilled, the capital will be released. It was just a seminar. It was niche. It was very early days back then. And I absolutely loved it. I was like, oh my God, this will change the world of law and finance. This is the future. When is this happening? All of these intermediaries will become obsolete. Oh my God. Transformational, right? Fast forward, what, 11 years? And I'm still waiting for the banks to fully adopt the innovation. But hey ho, slowly, but surely. So I left my legal career very quickly to work in funds, to work in hedge funds, asset management, a VC actually, among other things. So I've went to work in finance, financial markets always fascinated me. I loved economics. I loved to understand the market movements, the behaviors of both consumers, but also investors. And it was just a new, big, fascinating world in the city of London. This is the center of finance, at least in Europe, and I dived headfirst. My first gig was actually for a hedge fund that was reasonable in size but very lean in team. We administrated around 10 billion assets under management, and we were around like 25, 30 people, so super lean. Some of our people were buying Bitcoin, so buying and hodling, and I was like, oh my God, what is this? This is so cool. And this was 2016 at that point in time. And of course, I was offered to both buy on these Canadian exchanges and various other exchanges. And I thought, like, I'm not quite sure I want to go
Please tell
down
me
that.
about some and that you held it.
No, I didn't. But a lot of my colleagues did.
Yeah.
So a lot of my colleagues did, and this was kind of the second introduction to the world of decentralized finance and digital assets. And then I spent a few years working in different funds, also investing in deep tech startups for a VC fund. And it was all great until COVID came and I got a little bit extra time on my hands. And I thought, oh no, it's now. Like digital assets are popping. This is the new wave. It was 2020. It was just, pre DeFi summer. I was like, yes, it's now.
It was happening, and the DeFi summer happened. Crypto blew up again. I mean, that's when I got, after deep crypto winter, that's when I got excited. I was like, I think similar sentiment of like, this is it. The moment's here. It's happening. Yeah.
Ultimately, I view it as a space where there's still a lot to build and a lot to be done, and it's a space that is shaking up both like legal, regulatory, but also financial markets, and it's one of these unproven, untested frontiers, at least back then, where there was a lot of opportunities for builders.
Nice. And so then, well, I think we met a couple years ago, right? And
Yeah.
I forget exactly what you're doing at that point, but how'd you get to Lagoon? And I would tell the folks about Lagoon. I think
So
everyone talks
I
about bringing institutions on chain, but how are you actually doing it? And then how does that all come to
so
life?
yeah, I
Yeah.
actually worked for the institution first. I know how they operate, right? Uh, So I met my co-founder Remy through mutual friends at one of the big conferences in Bogota. So I do not know if you attended that one, but we were just hanging out. Like, there was with mutual friends, there was dinners, events, chats while queuing to the next big talk. And Remy was doing digital asset management for one of the big funds in the industry. And it was absolutely fascinating. So, with my fund background, with my legal background, I just like very quickly realized the potential. So, the more digital assets you have, the more need you have to manage those. And he was doing it already then. I was like, oh my God, you are so fascinating. Let's chat more. I want to learn from you. Yeah.
Nice. And so then you guys met, you had a great conversation, and then,
We had a great conversation. One
yeah.
thing led to another. We continued following each other in the industry. We had quite a few good chats about what was moving back then, about trends, about protocols, about people, and like just supporting one another through the journey in this ecosystem. And at some point in time, he came to me and said, "Hey, Nadia, like I want to leave my current job to set up my own business. I think there's demand. This is a product that I need myself to scale these operations, and I know other people need that too." And I was like, "Oh my God, this is what will make it easy to set up funds, digital asset funds. This is to automate, flows." It's everything that I knew from the traditional like world of asset management, just for digital assets and on-chain. I was like, yes, let's do it.
Okay. And then that brings us to the $1 million question is what the hell is Lagoon and what is it doing and why is it so unique, right? Because I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of chains, a lot of different people. Like I think the theme this year in 2026, especially in crypto, is like everyone is trying to target institutions and bringing assets on chain. So what exactly are you guys doing that's so different? And yeah.
So Lagoon is so-called vault management infrastructure, but not enough with that. Lagoon is also has a significant number of support features that are needed for anyone who wants to launch a vault and thus scale the digital asset strategy. What does a vault do? So a vault is transient in nature and ultimately helps anyone and everyone to manage inflows and outflows. What are these instruments used for? So these are normally used for to pool assets, so-called pooled investment vehicles from traditional world of finance, right? So you want to manage assets at scale. You need to pull assets together. To do that, you need to do fund accounting and administration. There's a lot of technicality. So ultimately, you need to know who's coming into the pool, the vault, at what price are they coming into the vault, what is the share of the pooled assets, how are the fees charged, what are different reporting obligations, what are different compliance obligations. So anytime you want to launch a yield bearing product or a strategy or a structured product, anything to do with wealth management or something where you just want to generate or distribute yield, you need to pull assets together, you need a vault.
I love it. And I was kind of digging around on the website. I think the other thing is you guys are open source. It's open source for the most part, or it's infrastructure that anyone can leverage or deploy. Is that correct?
It's permissionless, so
And permissions.
anyone
Yeah.
like we're truly building on the ethos of the industry. So it's permissionless, so it's not gated. Why is not gated? We believe anyone should be able to test and trial without having to, pay for it. So you can also trust the product.
Got
So it's
it.
permissionless and the code is on their business license. So you can, of course, there's a lot of trust involved in this
Yeah.
ecosystem and trust in the product. So you want to read the code and you want to see our audits for them to test and deploy your
I
unique
like it.
strategy.
And so, how's the reaction been over the past couple of years? Because there are various vault managers around, right? Everyone's got a different way of doing it, but you know, yeah. How has things evolved in the past couple of years, especially with, I think like stablecoin regulation has been quite interesting. The macro environment has been changing drastically, as we all know, and even the market today and this past couple months has been interesting. So, have you been navigating all that, and what have you seen? Yeah.
Absolutely. So since we launched, there's definitely a few more competitors that popped up. It's kind of Volts found the product market fit in this world of DeFi converging with TradFi, fintech in the back, like fintech in the front, DeFi in the back. Vaults are definitely in demand. And as you rightly point out, there's different players who are doing things in a different way. So we are more suitable for discretionary mandates. So where the anyone and everyone can build on top of Lagoon because we do not care whether you are bridge, whether you are new protocol, whether you are a fintech solution or an existing asset manager or a hedge fund. You can use the vault as an accounting tool, as a tool to manage flows, fees, permissions, and governance. So it's very flexible. So we impose very few rules and restrictions on our users, and that's what makes it super flexible. Like one of the examples, we do not impose any particular custody solution on our users. So it's completely down to you. What do you want to use? Copper, Fireblocks, or for DeFi or Safe? Like it's just very easily to customize. As you rightly pointed out, it's permissionless, so everyone can deploy as many vaults as they want for the purpose and test them immediately. And what else? And yeah, you can deploy in 4 clicks. Show me another product who does that.
That's pretty cool. And then I'd love to better understand then what is the business model then? It's open source. So are you
Okay.
guys doing, you guys are taking fees? Are you doing services to set up and then a percentage, or how does that structure for you guys?
So it's a two-sided business model. So ultimately, we are building State Street for digital assets. I don't know if you're familiar with State Street is. State Street is a massive fund administrator. They have 3 trillion of assets. They have different services related to management of flows, calculation of P&L, etc., etc. So our business model is very similar to that. So we take a percentage of the fees collected by any vault. So ultimately, it becomes BIPs on on TBL. It's very simple. So our success is aligned with the success of our vault curators, of our strategists, and it's set at 10%. So very simple, very transparent, and very market favorable. And the other side is, of course, the solutions surrounding a vault. And these are very much depending on the needs of the vault curator. So, do you need reporting for your tax and compliance obligations? Do you need some additional services, P&L and NAV calculation? Do you need a white labeled solution? We're here to serve. Do we need permission management through Zodiac and Safe? This is all what we can do, and that becomes a SaaS subscription. So,
Ah, good old SaaS. I
uh-huh.
like it. Um, I like that. So actually now kind of like going back to the basics, right? Like I think you launched, what was it, late 2024? So would love to kind of hear that journey of like at least from a go-to-market perspective. Was it kind of built on pre-existing relationships or I mean, especially with this type of thing, I don't think it's as simple as you're not just launching an X and just announcing things, right? So what was the kind of go-to-market and BD approach that you took? And
Yeah.
what did you find worked well for you? Yeah.
Excellent question. So I think what we did is we put our money where our mouth is. So we were the first capital there. So I said, like my co-founder and me is true DeFi native, a true OG, and of course has been doing strategies on chain for a long time. So it was very important for us to prove that our product is working and has traction by putting our own like name and capital there. So just so you know, the entire team is like has their assets in this like 3 flagship products that we launched back then in November
Putting your
November
money where your mouth is,
2024.
quite literally.
Exactly, exactly. It's having skin in the game. It's so important because how else can anyone trust your product if you don't put your own money there? So we run 3 flagship vaults, and this is where the capital is, and we were the first like couple of million there. And then being DeFi native and being like OG in in the field and in the ecosystem as my team is specifically like Remy and Guillaume, our CTO, who's been like working for different companies. It was just very easy for us to attract other builders and DeFi natives who've been in the known. Like they just got the product, they understood it, they were excited, they were looking for something similar. Yeah, so it was, and then they recommended us to their friends. And suddenly, like, we're getting calls from people that was like, oh my God, how? Like, Northern
So it's good
Canada,
old word of
what?
mouth. Yeah.
Exactly,
Quality
exactly.
work. I like it. And so that leads me to another thing, right? Is like you are DeFi native, right? But I'm curious about how that balance between kind of like DeFi native versus um, non like more TradFi. Like how has that evolved? What have you been
Mm.
finding? Because it sounds like certainly it started in DeFi, but yeah, I mean things have been evolving. So
Yeah.
curious how that journey has been for you and what you've been finding and sentiment and all that. Yeah.
I think like you've probably read the same type of news as I do. So what you see more and more now, big household names launching on-chain products. This is like you have the BlackRock, the Apollo Asset Manager, you have these huge, you have Fidelity that is launching their own stablecoin. It's absolutely exploding. It actually went much faster than I expected. So in 2024, sure, were I thinking that our future clients are the hedge funds, the big asset managers, the banks, the any fintech out there? Absolutely. I just thought it will take a longer time. Now we have like stablecoins neobank wanting to offer, savings account for their users and need to find like suitable products. And of course, where you have flows, you have a vault. So the question is, okay, what strategy and like who's the curator of that strategy? So it's for me, in my mind, ultimately it's the proliferation of stablecoins and that product market fit that is now proven with 300 billion in circulation and different chains that is screaming where you have this amount of assets, you will have a huge need for yield products because no one likes the assets to sit still.
Yeah, you can tell me about that. And then it's quite interesting. And a quick divergence is I'm curious from a regulatory standpoint, right? Like, I mean, this is less a commentary on global regulation, but I think especially within crypto, the U.S. is one of the key markets, and as we all know, the Genius Act passed, but Clarity has been going through a lot of different hoops and back and forth, and right now there's this whole thing between banks and uh, Coinbase and all these crypto exchanges having a fight over yield on stable coins. But curious if that's affected, I guess, the business at all. But I'm assuming, like obviously it's not just US, right? There's a lot of European funds. A lot of people are incorporated offshore anyways. But curious how you've seen that sentiment evolve as you've been obviously dealing with vault management and stable coins. Yeah.
So regulation has been a huge tailwind for us. So it's both a push and a pull factor, right? A lot of people have been holding still because there were no like regulatory clarity. So right now, there's definitely more regulation and it's multi-layered. Bear in mind, you should not just look at crypto regulation, you should also look at financial regulation. Financial regulation is known for being fragmented. Every region has its own, and so is crypto regulation. For sophisticated actors who are used to operating in fragmented, highly technical landscape, such as hedge funds, asset managers, VCs, you name it, they will figure it out and they will find a way that works for them and their audience because they're already doing it. They already did it. Crypto regulation that is coming out, especially from the US, so with the Genius Act, with the Clarity Act, it just gives more legitimacy to stablecoins and digital assets. It just spurs the adoption and implementation. Is it simple? No. Is it expensive? Yes. But people are finding their way that is suitable for them and their audiences in the jurisdiction of their choice.
And where would you say the majority of your customers are from? I'm sure it's a very global customer base or user base, I guess, in this case.
Yeah.
But do you find it's mostly European centric or also, I don't know. I'm curious.
I would say Europe, US, and we do see interest from the MENA region. I would say that Asia is, of course, booming and a super important market, but because of the nature of the team, I think, and the like where we've been centered, we have not yet fully penetrated that market. So I'm very excited about what's happening in Asia and how that market is working.
Yeah, there's a lot of activity going on there. Although it's interesting, I think I saw a report the other day. I mean, it's a meme at this point, but like China fully banned crypto for about the 20th time. I'm like, I thought they already banned crypto. They banned it again? Like, how many times can they ban the thing?
Uh,
Um, but yeah, as obviously like with Korea and Japan, I think like that's where we've been putting a lot of effort. And I just hopped off a call with a potential new member, and I think like just thinking out loud, I think it's quite funny. Like he asked me a question, which was Blake, like with Myosin being like a global community, like what do you think the global sentiment is towards like crypto in Japan? And I was like, and it's not a question I thought about quite often. And then I reflected, and I told him most of the people we work with or the chains or whatnot, when they want to target Asia, a lot of them go to Korea because I think a
mm,
lot of them are chasing kind of like token and price action because,
mm.
we published a whole report about this a year ago, and we should do a follow up. But the amount of trading volume that happens in Korea is absolutely bonkers compared to the rest of the world. But at the same time, it's a lot of retail. And then I think people haven't really considered Japan for a while because crypto there is very institutional. But then I told him, I was like, well, actually, I think in 2026, Japan is the underslept, it's the most slept on opportunity, I think, because people are chasing token price and TGs for so long, and they just want the retail action to pump their token. But if you're going after institutional, I would actually, from a strategic point of view, I do think Japan is a very overlooked opportunity. So I don't know, maybe that's some free advice for you if that's
Oh,
something
thank
you're
you very
looking
much.
into.
It's
But
good.
yeah,
I'm planning a trip to Japan now, so it's perfect. I welcome it.
perfect. Yeah, I
I
have some
think
folks I
retail
can talk to.
action will be different
Mm.
in the time to come. I don't think we'll see the same retail action as we did the last couple of years. I think too much retail has been burned by bad behaviors in the industry. So I think the retail action will come from these fintech products that are implementing products on blockchain rails.
Yeah, and so then that actually brings me. This is a really fun conversation because I think you can span so many different things. But I'm curious with your take on like neobanks and like, is that a custom? You kind of alluded to it earlier, I think, but like, um, because I think that's something, at least from my side, we are seeing with various like chains that we work with or clients that we're working with is, and it's so needed, right? Because I think this really does. We were talking about DeFi summer previously, right? And I think that's the moment, at least maybe for us, it felt like it was going mainstream. And in hindsight, we're like, no, it's still pretty niche. But now it really does feel like it can
Yeah,
happen because there's a
yeah.
lot, something I feel like in crypto we're so used to, I guess. For me, like, I won't disclose where, but like there's certain like DeFi protocols that you can earn, anywhere from 10 to 15% on your stable coins, which to me feels normal. But you talk to any non-crypto user and they're like, more than 1% is like phenomenal, right? So the idea that the safest you can earn on most of these big protocols is maybe like 4%. And even to them, that's mind boggling, right? Because interest rates have been so terrible in so many places, and the banks take all your yield on, on your dollars, So I don't know. All to say is like, it feels like this is the moment. Neobanks are really like having a moment, and stablecoin adoption is that mainstream moment. But have you been seeing the same, and what are you most excited about on that front?
So on this topic, I think people need to really discern between different jurisdictions and the different like geographic regions and the specific conditions that apply to a region. So we in Europe and maybe the US, North America are very much spoiled with different fintech applications, and everything is smooth and easy. I mean, as soon as Revolut came to the UK, I was able to send my money reasonably cheaply, reasonably fast, and and go between different currencies at a whim, right? But you don't have the same services in different places in Southeast Asia, Africa, or Latin America, which are huge places. This is where the growth actually is. They just don't have the same financial rails. So these are massive markets, much more homogenous markets often compared to Europe. And they are hungry. They are hungry to be served with financial products that they didn't have access to. And also, these markets quite often have high inflation, so they want to position their money into a bit more stable currencies. So I'm not preaching praises to the dollar, but ultimately it has been the world currency for many years and still much more stable than, I don't know, Turkish lira or Argentinian peso, whatever else you have there. So
Nigerian naira. Yeah, exactly.
exactly.
It goes on.
So
Yeah.
digital dollar is just much more attractive to you, irrespective of the wrapper, than holding your own national currency. Now, let's build on this assumption. Let's say you are a small business owner. Let's say you transact cross border. Let's say you want to have a savings account. So, all of this means you are less interested in your national currency because it's just very weak or it has huge inflation. You're interested in the digital dollar, irrespective of the risks that it brings with you. What do you want on that? The more digital dollar you accumulate, the more interest rates do you actually crave to see. And especially some of these markets, let's take Brazil, it's completely not used to have savings accounts or banking accounts with zero interest rate or with 1 or 2% zero interest rate. It's a market that demands double digit. This is what they've been used to. So they want it again, right? So what they the demand for digital dollar and
Massive. Yeah.
is massive, and demand for just more stable currencies than so many countries that have like unfortunate currency controls.
Yeah. I mean that it's so funny. Like, yeah, I think working in crypto has been a very eye-opening experience over the past couple of years because I think I've traveled quite a bit throughout my life, but I think it wasn't until I started working in this industry that you just like your eyes are so open to the privilege you face if you live in the U.S. or even Europe of like you just take it for granted. Not like yeah, inflation's always been a thing, but like you don't
2%.
yeah, it's negligible compared to what some of these other folks face, and so it's been quite eye opening. So then I guess that leads me then the next thing, which is like when Lagoon in Africa or
Oh,
Argentina or is that yeah? What's the thinking there?
I
I guess
think,
you can only be in so many places at one time.
oh yeah,
So,
for sure. So definitely need to focus and prioritize. But your question is ultimately about distribution. How does distribution like look for us? Ultimately, it's integration of Vault products into fintech applications. Fintech applications that serve some of these big emerging markets and serve the trade corridors where, let's say, like, you're a business doing trade, you need to send money, you hold stable coins. While you do that, you want to generate yield on those. I'm not talking about degen products with 500% IPR doing 10x leverage. This is not where I am. But this is the distribution for Lagoon Vaults going forward, right?
yeah, and so then I'm curious, like, do you guys raise at all, or are you guys just bootstrapped, or how does that work? And then are you guys
Oh,
planning on
so
doing a
we
raise again, or
Oh,
yeah?
excellent question. So we actually raised like an angels round from industry insiders, some of the biggest products and protocols, and that's been a blast. And yeah, we'll be preparing for our next one
Fingers
very
crossed.
soon.
I think now is a
Yeah,
very exciting and probably a bullish time to be raising for something like this. So, uh,
absolutely.
fingers crossed. So then now, the question about funding also came into because I think at the end of the day, like any team, right? Like there's only so much time, resource, bandwidth to go around. But so curious about like on the marketing front, like word of mouth is obviously the best form of marketing you can get, but we had like Ben, Chief Growth Officer at Rootstock, on just the other week, and I think for him, he was talking about how events have been like a really big driver for him. So curious, like number one, what the go-to-market is moving forward as you
Right.
start expanding into new geographies and trying to reach new, whether it's institutions or DeFi natives or whoever it is, right, or neobanks, whoever it is you're trying to reach. Like what is the general go-to-market, and what are you most excited about? What do you see working?
Uh, Great question, and definitely one that's been on my mind for a period of time. I think as the product evolves, so does the go to market. And it should be like that for every product out there. So what you do, pre-seed, pre-product is very different to what you do post-product, post-traction, post X amount of users. So we definitely realize that institutional sales cycles are longer. There's more meetings to be had with more stakeholders, and you need to lead those institutions by the hand, and you need to provide them everything in a timely manner. So it's a different approach. And it's a different types of conversations compared to when you target a DeFi native audience. So yeah, we'll be ramping up on that front for sure. Watch the space. Institutional sales is coming. For what I'm excited about and what I think works well is founder-led marketing. I think it's very much undervalued by a lot of people. Because founders, they do everything, they're just involved in every little part of the business at the same time.
You're telling me.
Yeah, you know it, I know it. Founder-led marketing is super important, and this is also why we're ramping up. Both me and my CEO and co-founder Remy, we are talking at conferences, we are being the thought leaders in the space.
I like it. And so then looking towards, well, I guess, what does the conference circuit look like for you? I guess I think most people are starting to pivot towards less crypto native events. I haven't heard a lot of excitement about ETH Denver next week.
No.
I think some are going to go to ECC, TBD on token for many folks, but I think Money 2020 I've heard quite a bit about. I think DAS is happening soon. I forgot. And then
happening soon in March.
Yeah, God, time flies. It's already coming. But yeah, what does your circuit look like this year? Yeah.
So if you are to do all crypto conferences, you will be traveling nonstop. You will just never see your house. So it's very much about prioritizing and going. We tend to go for the big ones. It's also an opportunity for the industry to get together and meet people face to face, right? An industry that is so remote, that is so distributed, it's just nice to see people in the flesh. I just returned from DAF, Digital Asset Forum in London. It was very institutional, very vibey, even though the price action was not nice. But for me, it was a clear signal that it's not about the price action anymore. The rails are here. When the CEO of Western Union is talking at DAS in New York in March as one of the key speakers, I'm sorry, I know what's happening. It's the product market fit is it.
Well, you either adopt or die, and I think Western Union of all people, they're charging these exorbitant fees, and it's the same reason Visa and MasterCard. It's all happening. It's just but it's innovator's dilemma, right? Because it's they can do crypto projects and they can do these things, and we'll see. I'm curious, it's that conundrum, right? Of
if they don't do it, I think they realized at this point, if they don't do it, they'll be outcompeted. And this is the reason for the neobanks. The neobanks that are serving specific geographies and popping up left, right, and center to enable people transact cross-border on stablecoin rails, on blockchain rails using stablecoins, easier and cheaper. I think at this point in time, all of the remittances companies are very well aware of what's happening.
They have to be, otherwise they're properly fucked, aren't they?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah.
So I guess zooming out and thinking about the state of all this, right? I know we're very excited about crypto and stable coins and all that, but I don't know. I guess let's take the other view. What's the thing that concerns you the most about what's happening in the world right now, within our industry and even outside? I don't know. What's the thing that keeps you up at night? Yeah.
What keeps me up at night? Quantum compute and the effect of that on, everything from BTC to blockchains.
Don't worry, they're gonna make it quantum resistant, is what they say, right? It's gonna be that easy.
Ethereum is already investing in that.
Yeah.
I think there's been a bit of talk in the industry about a triple bubble, and now I'm talking more generally in the tech industry. So triple bubble, AI bubble, crypto bubble, and private credit bubble. We do see a lot of private credit products unchained. So like using vaults, tokenized, running different strategies. I am worried about how some products and protocols are either don't disclose or maybe misrepresent what's actually under the hood. So I'm worried about disclosures, transparency, verifiability, and how to make discovery of products easy and transparent. Um,
Very coded, that one. I like it. But I get what you're saying, and it's quite funny because I think I actually had lunch with a CMO friend of a company that will not be disclosed, but he was a previous guest on our podcast, so you can maybe
oh,
guess at it. But we were talking all around payments and you know some of the stuff that they're seeing, which kind of like you, I think they provide infrastructure and they work with many chains, and it was very funny because he was just telling me, he was like, yeah, like every company this year, they're like every chain, they're like, yeah, we do payments, and you're like, okay, just because you had like this much in stablecoin flows, how much of that is actually payments, and how much of that is just one whale moving their money around, versus, but there's a lot of everyone's just relabeling, and it's you go one or two layers deeper, kind of like you're saying. You're like, well, is the labeling quite correct? I don't know. Like, so there's definitely still some funky stuff happening. It feels like I don't know.
sure.
Yeah,
It's innovation, it's tech, it's like people are building and sometimes things break, right? So I also have respect for that, but it's being mindful both as a builder but also as an allocator. And things take
yeah.
time. At the end of the day, things take time.
It does take time. It does take time. Cool. And then kind of as we start to, we're getting towards the end here, but we'll do rapid fire questions next, and we can kind of wrap things up. But curious to, uh, I guess as we get towards the end here, would love to kind of hear like, what are you most excited about moving towards with Lagoon? Like, so you were kind of implying earlier, like, is the end goal to basically become on-chain State Street? That's the end vision. Is it something else? What's coming up next, and you know, what do you want to keep expanding
Yeah.
into? Yeah,
State Street for digital assets, for sure. I think it's super exciting and it is needed, and the demand will continue growing. I'm excited about structured products. I am excited about payments and products that relate to payments. Um, so I'm excited in integrating into fintech products, and also seeing more and more asset managers, traditional institutions, offering their traditional products, but as a separate share class, tokenized share class, where they take flows on chain into a money market fund or an ETF that existed for 10, 20 years.
tokenized stocks. Yes, that's coming as well.
Ah, here you
Yeah,
go, here you go.
exactly. Yeah.
This is what I believe will be under the hood of a lot of vaults going forward. It'll be more traditional instruments and assets.
So on that front, I'm curious, and I understand if you have to take a diplomatic view of this, but amongst all the I think I was seeing on the site you work with most, if not all, EVM chains effectively. So
That's correct.
curious about your take, because I think the one thing actually we haven't touched on is privacy, right? Because I think that's a big thing we're seeing right now. There's a lot of different takes on this. I think Canton has been making a lot of noise lately, and I think they're doing cool work. One could argue they're more like the corporate chain, perhaps, with their work with DTCC and otherwise, but they enable privacy. I think Rails, who we've worked with in the past, they're doing some interesting stuff in Brazil and otherwise. But number one, I guess the question is like, I'm assuming you guys do enable that, number one, and then number two, you know, well, let's start there, because then the other question is more around, as someone who is providing all these services, like what kind of flows are you seeing across various chains? What are you most excited about, and what are you most bullish on? Yeah.
Oh, the chains. So I think that new chains are popping up left, right, and center. Uh, the
Still?
still, it's super interesting. Like I am surprised they have different flavors and serve different audiences. At the end of the day, it's down to transactions. So who's buying your block space? It doesn't matter what chain that is. Like ultimately, it's how many buyers are there of your block space. Um, so of course, there are definitely some winners, and some chains are doing like much better than others at attracting these both real world use cases and new applications and flows. And this is also where we're looking. We're looking at, okay, who has that unique go to market and who's very well positioned to execute on that. I would say still Solana has been really like punching maybe above its weight with like a DeFi ecosystem that is having a renaissance, and of course the meme coin like boom happened there. It's it's casino for adults, but it worked very well. It attracted a lot of attention and a lot of block space was bought. So
Casinos are very profitable businesses. You can hate it all you
yeah,
want, but you know,
exactly, exactly. And who doesn't like a dog with that? I mean, please. Um,
buy with, not financial advice. Just kidding.
so I love that. So I still have like quite high hopes for Solana, and then we're always watching the space, right? Where there's demand, we will go. We facilitate the flows. So of course, if it's stable, if it's plasma, if it's Canton, we will go there. I'm also excited about the renaissance of BTC Fi. It's something that we spoke about, what, 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, as Trump was coming to power. That too will continue.
Yeah.
I know that everyone is crying about price action. Oh, it's at 70. Poor you. I remember when it was at 14. They this will continue. Uh
It'll come back. There's no question. Yeah. Buy
exactly.
now.
There's
Hodl. Easy.
yeah. So uh so that is like my view on chains, and of course a lot of them are dying
Mm.
because they fail
Yeah.
at their go to market. It is go to market.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um
That's how it goes. And then the last thing, and what are your takes on privacy? Like, are you guys enabling that, or how does that work?
So we will be enabling it through integrations with privacy protocols. So whether it's Rails, Canton, or some other people building in the space, and I'm definitely watching who's doing what well. Um, it is a theme. It's not the first time this theme comes up. So privacy was also popular 4 years ago, I believe. It actually failed to take off well. So I want to see if um, like new solutions or the good old.
But now it has to, right? Because I think that's the big. I think that's why these institutional chains, whatnot, are focusing on prep. Because like, and I've talked to different friends in TradFi and DeFi about it. They're like,
Mm.
no hedge fund wants to put their order book on like fully on chain, so everyone can see everything that they're doing. No, like in the most part.
True. At this, yeah, and
But
it's true.
I love. I want to hear it. Yes.
Well, blockchains are there to provide, transparency, verifiability. So,
Yes.
like how to execute privacy. So it's by default and by design. So it doesn't feel like a burden, but feels
Yep.
intuitive and inbuilt. So you don't even think about it.
Right.
This is what
As
I'm
it
looking
should be.
for.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Well, it's the same thing with like neobanks, right? It's like I think this is just kind of as we wrap things up here, and then we go to rapid fire questions. Like, I think that's the funny thing is like it feels like a full circle moment of I think we spent, at least for me, and like in my time with Myosin, like in this past cycle or two of this past like 4 or 5 years, I feel like we saw so much optimism in about like Web3 and on chain social and gaming and NFTs and all these other things. But really, in the end, it all just comes back down to crypto and finance. Because
Yeah.
what is the best case you use blockchain, this global digital ledger, than money? Uh, which is why, yeah, fair enough. Like meme coins, gambling, prediction markets, that is still here, whereas everything else it feels like is kind of not quite found product market fit because we realize that it is still early, even all this time later. Like these technologies just take so much longer to adopt. But the exciting thing is I think you're positioned quite well to capitalize on this now, especially as institutions really start to come on chain, privacy becomes more real, chains become cheaper and more performant, the bad ones die off, regulation gets more clear, um, and a really crazy global macro climate right now, right? For risk assets, interest rates, bonds, all these things. It's a
Don't
weird
start
time.
me on that one. We don't have
Yeah.
time.
That's a whole
But
other follow-up episode. Yeah.
But ultimately, finance has been one of the first verticals to adopt innovation and adopt technology. And there's a reason for that because there's only a few things in the world that people normally are willing to pay for. Finance and entertainment are 2 out of 3 verticals. It's always been like that. So
I
I'm
like
not
that.
surprised.
What's the third? Sex?
Yes, but I did not want to say that on this
Sorry about that.
podcast.
It's okay. We can be adults. We can be adults. But yes, finance, entertainment are the main two. Um, okay, so last thing, rapid fire questions, just to wrap this up. So these are 4 questions we kind of ask every guest, but we'll just kick it off. What's the most underrated marketing tactic that you can think? Because it is, after all, hosted by marketers, so we do have to touch on marketing a little bit. Yeah,
Founder-led marketing.
I like it. Uh, and we had talked about that, so we're good to go there. What's the most overrated marketing tactic?
Calls. KOLs.
Yeah, a classic. It's true. It's true. Although the nuance I would add to that is they can be effectively used if done well, but 99% of the time they're used pretty poorly. So
Exactly.
I agree to that. Um, we so outside of Lagoon, obviously, and this is the opportunity to give a shout out to anyone else. Is what on chain or crypto native brands or projects do you think are really crushing it? Uh, yeah, it could be
I
multiple, by the way.
really like the work that Merkel has been doing. So they've been doing some excellent work on really like both pivoting. So they started building a while back. It's a team led by Engel. They started with Europact stablecoin, as far as I remember, of a slightly alternative type, and then they pivoted. They identified the problem in the industry and just been crushing it. So now they're go to solution for incentive management in blockchain land, which is of course still a very big go to market element for the vast like majority of blockchains.
Brilliant. I love it. Yeah, so shout out to Merkel. And then the last one is more of a personal one, and I do love it, and I say it every week, is we've asked every guest. We've done this is our 3rd season, and we've done 3 different iterations of the podcast, but it's been consistent all these years, is looking back at the past year or so, what do you feel like is your biggest professional learning?
Professional learning. Really, like, it's very much about knowing people and being able to work with people. So we do tech, but at the same time, it's people matter. Whom you
Ooh.
know and how you work with these people.
Can you elaborate without obviously being too specific? Is it more, I guess what I mean is I guess what I'm trying to dig down into is, are you, so number one, it is about people. I completely agree with you. I think as someone who's the co-founder of a DAO, for example, I think people got too caught up in this governance theater and decentralization. When it's like, you can decentralize all you want, but it's still people. You have to manage people. It's run by people. It's a way of organizing people. So I fully agree. I think all business is people. But I guess from what you're talking about, is it more about you have to learn to deal with people, you have to learn to manage people, or yeah, just one level deeper? I think that's a really interesting one.
Yes. So, like, think about if I take me as an example. So I manage people, and I'm also I also have to manage up to the side and down because of course we have investors. I need I am being I'm managing up. I need to manage down with my team, and I'm managing to the side because I have my co-founders, and I also have clients and partners. All of that, I need to be very cognizant of the different needs and the different communication styles, but also very much be trusted and trusted, competent, and likable. Like ultimately, this is you want people to work with you, you want people to invest in you, and you want people to trust you, especially in a field like finance.
I get it. Yes, this all makes sense. And yeah, that's the hard part. And pardon my French. I think to sum it up, it's don't be an asshole, right? Yeah.
And don't be like, be competent and not an asshole. That's the
Yes.
best.
Exactly. That's the way to do it. Well, listen, beautiful stuff. Really appreciate you taking the time to hop on and talk all about Lagoon. I'm really excited about what you guys are doing, and I hope to see you either in Lisbon or at the next conference. I'm sure we'll cross paths again sometime this year. But with all that, well, actually, last thing, Nadia, is there any call to action, I guess, for anyone listening, whether it's LinkedIn, X, later when it's on Spotify or whatnot? How can they get in touch with you? What's the call to action? Yeah.
Connect on LinkedIn, ask me more questions, connect on X with my team. We are here. So if you are a builder, if you're building a protocol, starting a protocol, if you're building a chain, you will manage flows. We're here to help you. So new protocols have been built on top of Lagoon. Chains came to us to manage their TVL campaigns, and we are here to help you out and serve your needs. Reach out.
Rock and roll. We love it.
There you go.
With all that, thanks so much, Nadia, for coming on. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. Have a great rest of your week. And I'll talk to you soon. Thanks so
I'll
much.
talk to you soon. Take care.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Ciao, ciao.